What's up, everybody? Little Thanksgiving week, Hobby with Cage. Today's episode brought to you by Bleecker Trading and by Arena Club. It's funny, I thought, wow, I'm doing an episode today. I feel like I just smoked everybody. And that wasn't my episode, that was Jeremy Lee. If you guys didn't check it out, his Saturday night episode, he had a whole bunch of guests on from Chris Hoge, House of Jordans, to myself, to Deep Value Investor, to just, a whole gaggle of folks. I guess it's part of a new thing Jeremy is doing. I had a lot of fun. Even maybe had a drink or seven during it. I played a little drinking game that I was playing only by myself. Every time the word Pareto was mentioned, I took a shot. So some fun stuff. A lot of people messaged me saying they enjoyed it. A lot of people with suggestions about, content based on that. And but I said to myself today, I'm like, do I have to do an episode today? I think I just talked. That wasn't my content. Go check out Jeremy Lee's Saturday night episode and, message me. Let me know what you think. And I think I can, Jeremy mentioned during that episode, go back and kind of like talk about the news that doesn't make the news. I'm recording this Tuesday. You guys have just seen my hobby news week. Fun news week this week. But I made some posts last week about the stuff that just didn't make it, the stuff that gets left on the cutting room floor, and it makes for some fun topics that aren't able to make it into that news minute. 1 minute's just not enough to cover everything that's happening in the hobby. I'll keep it short and sweet. I hope you guys are all having fun, doing your hobby thing and making plans for the holidays and doing what you need to do. Hopefully, no one has to travel too far. No one has to cook too much. You guys should all be jealous of me. I have the best of both worlds. I go to a family function that is literally a 2-minute drive in my town, so I don't have to cook and I don't have to commute. It is the greatest thing on earth, except for the fact that I don't have stuffing the next day. So I may have to make some stuffing just to have leftovers of my own. Anyway, I got a fun couple of topics for you today. Number one, right off the bat, I'm not going to show you all of it, but this is Ian's holiday list. My son's Christmas list. And when I was looking at it, one thing that was on it struck me as something worth talking to you guys about. And then, maybe doing a little bit of a deeper dive on it. He wants cards, obviously. He wants all kinds of cards. But one thing he listed that he wanted was a baseball product. And very specific now. I'm going to read it. Chrome update, but, and in parentheses, only if the skeins isn't pulled. Now, let's think about that for a second. Because what he's talking about is the MLB Debut Patch card in Topps Chrome Update. The one the Ellie's been pulled for, and the one that just folks have been pulling left and right. Skeins hasn't been pulled yet. Now, first I read this and kind of giggled and thought to myself, he heard my news last week. He's on social media. He heard Livy Dunn said that she would have whoever it is who pulls this up to watch a game in her suite. And I thought to myself, maybe that's why he wants that card. It's still possible. But whether that's the reason or whether he wants the card or whether he wants to sell the card through Ken Golden, it's kind of irrelevant. Because I remember coming on here when Fanatics was taking over and Fanatics was getting the licenses and Fanatics had Topps. And a lot of people were questioning, what are they going to do? We threw around that 10X the hobby, 10X. And I think, anybody who has any kind of a finger on the pulse of the hobby or understands the space knows that those are just talking points. I mean, there is not going to be a 10X of the hobby. And there's nothing they can do to specifically 10X it. But people were concerned, well, what were they going to do? Is it going to be good? Is it going to be bad? I'm not here to, judge good or bad, but I'd love for you to tell me in the comments whether you think it's good or bad. But think about just that one change, that MLB Debut Patch that's inside Topps Update. So the Topps Update product, not the best thing in the world. Topps Update Chrome. It's definitely not the best product in the world for your money. I mean, I opened 2 boxes and we just got garbage, middle relief pitchers because Topps obviously has a bunch of those. And your odds of pulling a MLB Debut Patch are minuscule. I mean, there are breakers just opening hundreds and hundreds of cases and not getting these. But it's a chase. It's a cool item. And it's not just the skeins, which obviously is the one that folks are really looking for. I find it cool that athletes are out there trying to get that card, because it's sort of like a missing piece of their debut jersey. Because for anybody who's not listening to this, one of the things that Topps brought to cards in the last year and a half, 2 years, is when a rookie comes up and they wear their debut jersey for the first game they're playing, and it has a removable MLB debut patch that gets taken off and given to Topps, and Topps puts it into a card, an autographed 1-of-1 chase card. Well, today's news, I talked about Jordan Lawler, who messaged, hey, you pulled that card, reach out to me, let's talk, DM me. Somebody else wrote on the flip side of the autograph card when they signed it, DM me. There are people looking for these cards. I'm pretty sure Matt Holliday, who obviously is an all-time great MLB player, played for the Colorado Rockies. His son, Jackson Holliday, has his, MLB debut patch in product this year. And I think Matt Holliday came out and said that he'd want to try to get that card. It would be a cool thing for them to own. I don't remember another card that had generated that type of buzz, combined with holiday Christmas lists of cards, for kids to try to chase, and the players themselves. It's an interesting thing. You have to give it to them. I mean, the product's not cheap, and chances are you're not going to get it, but you do have a chance. So you say there's a chance. Mary Swinson, Samsonite. I was way off. So he's saying there's a chance. There is a chance. Now, new product coming out all the time, left and right. I think one of the most common refrains that I get in my DMs on IG is that they're just overprinting. Panini's overprinting, Topps is overprinting. There's just too much stuff, and Topps Chrome update just hit, and then boom, they got this gilded right on top of it, and he does the next product. Well, they're trying to make something for everybody. You don't necessarily have to buy everything. You know what I mean? You don't have to open everything. But I get that criticism. I definitely do. And the price point is pretty high. And I try to balance it out in the backdrop of, what is this doing? These, I'm going to call them gimmicks. Are new people coming into the space? Because that's really the question. I'm wondering whether or not anybody out there knows of anybody who wasn't in this space last year, 2 years ago, and is coming in because of this. Is there anybody out there who's buying cards? I can tell you, as much as people didn't like the Chrome basketball update or the Topps composite stuff, I know several people in my neighborhood here who have, kids who go to school with my kid, the parents who collected cards as kids like myself. I'll see them at events and they'll say, hey, I just went to Ace. I haven't bought cards in years. And I was at Ace Hardware. And I saw it was, $20, a box of, football cards that had Tom Brady on it, or a box of football cards that had basketball cards that had, Victor Wembanyama on it. I bought one and we opened it with the kids. The availability is there. People are always talking about, the hobby's back. If you can go and buy a pack of cards, while you're checking out at 7-Eleven. My 7-Eleven has baseball cards and Pokemon cards sitting at the register. It wasn't like that a couple years ago. And I wonder if that's enough. I wonder if I'm an outlier and I'm just looking for it so I can come on and talk to you about this. Because I remember this hobby, man. I remember this hobby in the 90s when it got bad. I remember this hobby in the early 2000s when, LeBron and fancy products came back. I remember this hobby in 2007 when it was dead. I mean, dead. I remember it coming back. I remember 2009 when, 9, 10, 11, you had Trout wasn't a huge draw, but Strasburg and Bryce Harper in Bowman, and people were opening products and people were selling Strasburg redemption cards for 6 figures on eBay. That was insanity. And I remember, 13, 14, 15, it being dead again. And then it coming back. And this time around, it was like nothing else. And I guess I'm really curious about whether the tricks, the smoke and mirrors, the gimmicks, the MLB debut patch is going to be what prolongs this period of prosperity in the space, and whether or not we're going to be able to avoid that kind of. We always have these ups. We do. I mean, go back in time. We've had them. We had them in, we had them in the 80s. I can only go back that far, right? Because, in the 80s, 86, the Mets, I was, 9 years old, I turned 10. And then baseball cards started getting huge again, by 89 with Griffey Jr. and the Upper Deck coming out, and the 90 and Finest and Chrome cards and refractor cards. I mean, we had this period of time where from the late 80s to the early to mid 90s, there was a time of prosperity, and then it died. And then it bounced back up again, and then it died. And then it bounced back up again, and it died. Are we at the end of this kind of period here? And I ask this because I know a lot of hobby folks who have left, and a lot of hobby businesses that have left and or are leaving. There are some strong companies here, though, doing great things. I mean, PSA adding offers onto their stuff. I've taken advantage of almost every PSA holiday offer. There's not a PSA sponsored podcast, although they should give me something for that. But I just keep sending it. They have a new offer that gets revealed. I send them more stuff, new discount. I saw their offer. I mentioned it on our news today. When you grade cards, automatically, that card you can open it up in the PSA vault for an offer, probably like a repacker. They probably have a dealer network or something like that. You can offer money and you just sell it. It doesn't have to come back to you. You don't have to list it. You don't have to send it to a consignor. They take all that friction out of it and just, there are companies like that are operating well. There are shows like the Philly show, which is, I think it's December 13th, 14th, 15th weekend. I'm not going to be able to make it myself, but I think it's that weekend. That show's going to be great. The Chantilly show, great. These are big Northeast shows. There are still segments and places that are doing well. I'm just wondering whether or not the gimmicks is what prolongs it. I wonder how many more gimmicks they can come up with. I was looking at the prices of Mercury. Not doing so well. I mean, if Wembanyama goes out there and makes the playoffs and drops a couple 50-point games, maybe it won't matter. Maybe those prices will go up. Who the hell knows? But it's interesting to watch. It really is. And the funny part about it is I know the audience. I know people listen to this. So many people are listening to this saying, who cares? Like, they've been here since the 80s. They're buying their cards. They're enjoying the time. And, if price goes down, these are people. And here's a fun part, because there are some folks out there who will listen to this who are not that typical audience member of mine who's been here for a while. Maybe you learn from them. Maybe Fanatics is not going to be here for that long. Maybe, you see that they've canceled a whole bunch of Fanatics fan fests and, they're casting out different, a wide net, they call it, and failing on certain things and succeeding on others. Maybe they're not going to be here that long. And Panini's not here right now. And, there was a time that Flair was huge and gone. Pinnacle was a huge card and gone. Upper Deck, it looked like and now they're just hockey. And I mean, there are ebbs and flows in this. And, what's funny about it is the people you see leaving the space are the people who weren't here for the last up and down either. And I think I'll talk to, my standard audience, the folks who've been around for a decade or two or three or four, like me. A period of time where there's a pullback, there's a little bit of a quiet. It just allows you to buy those cards that you weren't otherwise able to get. Because what the people who were here for the last few ups and downs know is that, I don't know when, but I do know there will be another one of these. And if you're willing to stick around, you're willing to hang out here long enough, the right cards will go on that ride with you. I just don't know if the MLB debut patches are the ones that will be. And maybe they're not being made for that. Maybe those MLB debut patches and the other gimmick type cards, maybe those are the Best Buy doorbusters for the holiday season. The ones that they put out there and they advertise to get you in the store. And once you're here, hopefully they can keep you here. Maybe those are just kind of, the gimmicks, the advertisements, the shiny stuff that gets you in. And maybe you find something else that you enjoy collecting that keeps you here. Who knows? I guess we'll see. But it was funny because I saw that Christmas list and I thought to myself, I got to go on and tell these guys this. Because my question of can the gimmicks work? In my house, the answer is yes. Because we're most likely not pulling the Paul Skeens MLB Debut Patch. As much as Ian can cross his fingers and hope and pray for it, he's probably not going to get a chance to sell that card to Paul Skeens and the Pittsburgh Pirates and go meet Livy Dunn. Sorry, buddy. Doesn't mean he doesn't want a box to try. Like Charlie Bucket opening a Wonka bar, hoping for the golden ticket. So my answer is, yeah, that gimmick is working. We'll see what kind of long-term effect it has on the space. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy the time with your family and your friends. It's the best time of the year. And there's a ton of holiday product out there, really inexpensive. I was buying holiday stuff. I'm bringing to Thanksgiving these holiday tins. They look like Christmas ornaments, 2 for $35. Got a bunch of kids there, and I bring them. They open them. Last year, I brought holiday megas. One kid got a Santa Claus card, pulled it out of a pack, and that was like, woo, look, you got a Santa Claus card. So it's fun. Maybe stop by an LCS, and if you're going to a Thanksgiving event with some kids, bring some cards. You never know. You might create a collector. You might create somebody who's, helping the space 10, 20, or 30 years from now. That's another episode, guys. Brought to you again by Arena Club. Check out their slab packs. There is a code CAGE. It'll get you 10% off if you never bought a slab pack before. They're always adding some crazy stuff to those slab packs. So take a look. Go over and check out Arena Club. I still have some cards in my vault, too. So if you want to offer me a trade, go right ahead. I've rejected a lot of trades recently. You never know. You might have something I like. So send me a trade if you want. And by Bleecker Trading, check out their 2 stores in the city. They got a new one on the Upper West Side. Talk to you guys soon. Take care and happy Thanksgiving.